Messages from the animals. Uplift the world. Many animals are giving animal communicators messages on how to uplift, preserve, and nourish our world, and on how we can grow as spiritual beings. The animals themselves are very special beings. Before we discover some of their messages, let's take a moment to discover just how wonderful these beings are. Supreme Master Ching Hai is a renowned spiritual teacher and vegan who often communicates with the animal people. She has shared many stories about how the animals have helped her, guided her, shared important information with her, and have even come to her so that she could help them in many ways. The insights that she shares about the animal kingdom in the next excerpt is very amazing indeed.
He's so funny, and he's so beautiful. He must be the prince of his race. They all have this kind of royal system, you know. Yes, they don't have president elected by people like Americans or anywhere else. They have, you know, king and queen and princess and prince. The fish is also like that. Any sea or river beings, they all have this system. And the same with the land animals. Okay, huh?
Yes, Master.
So sometimes they look different than the rest of the normal skunks or swan or fishes because they are prince and princess or kings. Mostly you don't catch the kings or the queens of the fish species, for example, yeah? But maybe princess and prince, because when they're younger, they're adventurous. They just run away from the palace just to look around, yeah? And then they might be caught in nets. That's why some of them look very special. I saw some photos in my iPhone news, you know, that this and that caught this kind of special fish or something like that. And I feel so sorry. I pray for them.
With this knowledge in mind about how extraordinary the animal beings are, let's now explore messages that animal communicators have received from the animals. Below is an excerpt from the book Through the Eyes of a Cow by animal communicator and barefoot veterinarian Dr. Jody Ruckley. Dr. Ruckley travelled to various countries around the world and spoke to cows and calves who were in the animal agriculture system. This is what one cow shared with her. Quote, "They treat me like a producing machine, but I have a big heart, bigger than the hearts of the men that work here. I give lots of milk every day, but I receive no love or respect. I have a serious disease. I have needed medicine for a long time, and believe me, the farmers know this. But all the days I continue to give milk that can cause problems for humans. I have cancer of the lymphatics. From the outside you can see that I limp. It's the degeneration of my leg. The cancer affects my bones and my blood. I want people to stop drinking my milk because it is poison." End quote. The cow also says, quote, "I am 8 years old and I have lots of knowledge. You know what to do when the farmer is angry so less bad things happen. You must lower your head and not look at him. It's better to stay invisible and walk quickly, then perhaps he will not use the stick. They shout a lot and bash us on the bone of our hips with the stick. When they are happy, there is no love. They make noises kindly and then we can relax, but they never say thank you or ask how we are." End quote. I would like to point out that this cow was in a small dairy operation where the conditions are much better than those faced by cows in large dairy operations. Yet it seems that she still wasn't given the necessary health treatment or any sense of gratitude or extra kindness due to her physical condition. What a remarkable cow. We know that bovine or cow leukemia is in beef and dairy products that are sold in stores. Countries with the highest intake of milk also have the highest incidences of breast cancer. It's thought that 9 out of 10 cow herds in the USA have this disease. Humans have been tested and found to have antibodies to cow leukemia, which shows that we are exposed to it. Even more alarming is that the DNA of the cow leukemia virus has been found in human breast tissue of women who have breast cancer. Billy Dean is an interspecies telepath, and the sanctuary is the largest farm animal and wild horse sanctuary in Australia. Billy kindly passed on the following message from some of the wise cows. They said, quote, "At the Deep Peace Trust Sanctuary, our cows have shared that there would be a kindness revolution. The cows have talked extensively about how their true purpose has been hidden from humans. They are, among other things, keepers of the earth wisdoms. They are not food. They get very upset when they think they are considered food. The kindness revolution is the spiritual vegan movement. When humans start seeing them and other animals for their sacred selves and respect them and their precious lives, the world will change dramatically." They also wanted me to express just how terrible it was when their children are taken away. It causes them so much pain, anguish, and grief. And they were incredibly grateful to be able to keep their last children here in the sanctuary that made them so happy. They also wanted me to share about the Hindu concept of ahimsa. This is a practice of non-injury in thought, word, or deed to all beings. The cows reminded us that what we do to others, we do to ourselves because we are all connected. Thoughts, words, and deeds ripple not just on our 3D earth, but into other dimensions and realities. Likewise, when we live sacredly, honouring all beings with reverence, that also ripples, and it is healing to ourselves. Pause for a moment to consider this. You are one person, but how many people and beings are you connected to? How many people and beings are affected by you? Those who you are most connected with may include the immediate family, spouse, children, animal family members, the trees and plants in the garden. Then there is the extended family, close friends, the in-laws, grandparents, cousins, aunts and uncles. Then there are the people that you interact with through work. If you are an animal communicator, there are clients, both people and animal people. People you chat with at the farmers markets on the weekend. The person at the library who loans you the books. The other children at your kids' school. The sensei at your local dojo, or the yoga teacher, or the football coach, the barista at the coffee shop, etc. We are not a single drop alone. We are like a teeny drop in a vast ocean. We are surrounded by many others and energetically in connection with each other, and so we also affect one another. When we truly send love out to all, our circle of compassion and love is very wide and inclusive. Yet for many people, including so many animal lovers, their circle of compassion and love seems to end when an animal is deemed as food or livestock. But as energetic beings, we are also connected to these animals that are destined for slaughter. And we are also connected to those beings who raise and slaughter the animals. Are you aware of the immense challenges, danger, physical suffering, mental and emotional suffering, and other problems that people working in slaughterhouses and meat packaging companies endure. Did you know that many people do not want to be doing this work? Why is this relevant, you might ask? As souls on a spiritual path, we have a calling to search for the truth. Most people don't know how these slaughterhouse workers and meat packers are affected, and because they too are like a drop in the vast ocean, many people are unaware of the people and animals around these workers who also suffer. If our societies are to change in a meaningful way, if we are to achieve peace within communities, between countries and globally, we need to acknowledge and understand this. It affects us more than one realizes. The animals give us insights into how this affects us on a profound level. A very in-tune rooster shared the following message with me. I received the image of the world with a sort of dingy mist or cloud or gas around it, and this dingy energy encircled our planet. I received this explanation, quote, "We need to try to avoid it. It's people's naivety. They do silly things and then that energy covers the world. It's a thick energy. Here I got the image of oozing thick slime. It's oppressive." End quote. The rooster was showing me that collectively, our everyday choices and actions have created a thick, oppressive energy that smears our planet and affects us all. Many people are not yet aware of this. This was such a powerful message to receive. Another animal communicator has shared similar insights. Sharon Callahan, animal communicator and founder of Anaflora Flower Essences, has shared.
I feel that the entire earth is like almost encapsulated in like a fog or cloud of suffering that certainly includes the suffering of human beings, but more than anything, the suffering that animals that are killed by the millions every day. That energy of the suffering that they go through stays in a kind of band around the earth, so that if enough people became, vegetarian and then vegan, we would begin to dissipate that energy by simply balancing it. It hits me profoundly that every night when I go to sleep, millions of animals are just dying this horrendous death. In the daytime, you're doing other things. You can distract yourself with your work. But to me, sometimes I can't sleep when I think about it. But if we change, and we must, if we're going to save ourselves, it would begin to help the earth to emit the light that she should. It would move through that band of suffering that surrounds the earth. It would envelop it with love and forgiveness, and everything would change. I mean, literally, it is the one thing that will save us.
End quote. Sharon's insights reveal that the suffering band around our planet is comprised of the suffering of humans and animals. Suffering and doing naive things are often flip sides of the same coin. Slaughterhouses are hidden for a reason. They are not pleasant places. As the late Russian theosophists Nicholas and Helena Roerich have written, quote, "Try to carry out a psychic energy experiment near a slaughterhouse, and you will receive signs of acute madness, not to mention the entities which attach themselves to the exposed blood." End quote. It has been said that those who are in jail for violent crimes are not the vegans and vegetarians within our society. Instead, it is those who eat meat. If research were carried out to verify this, we would undoubtedly find this is quite an accurate observation. St. Francis of Assisi, the patron saint of animals who lived around 1181 to 1226, once wisely said, quote, If you have men who will exclude any of God's creatures from the shelter of compassion and pity, you will have men who will deal likewise with their fellow men." End quote. We see that these words still apply hundreds of years later. As we self-reflect, we really must ask ourselves, do we really treat others the way that we wish to be treated? Some important questions to consider include, from a spiritual perspective, how can we continue to ask these people to torture and kill the sweet animals? How can we ask them to sacrifice their physical, mental, and spiritual safety to do this degrading work? Would you be happy to work in a slaughterhouse or to work as a meat packer? If not, how can we expect others to do this work on our behalf when we don't need meat to survive or to be healthy? We must ask ourselves, why do we continue to support an industry that is built upon the exploitation of humans and animals? Every time we purchase meat and animal products, we are supporting cruelty and suffering of the animals and of fellow humans. We must realize this and make this connection. It is a cycle of abuse that keeps occurring because people still eat meat and animal products. In so doing, the industry is supported financially and continues. Quote, "When we consume the products of factory farming, we are telling factory farmers, 'I approve, do it again.'" End quote. By the Reverend Frank L. Hoffman. Richard Anderson, author of the book Cleanse and Purify Thyself, has stated, quote, "The dark thoughts of hate, anger, fear, etc. profoundly inhibit love, joy, peace, and enlightenment. As long as the dark, unresolved issues remain within us, a heavy weight holds us low. Herein is the key as to why the great spiritual genius would never indulge in the barbaric act of semi-cannibalistic consumption of innocent creatures of God, for the negative feelings of fear, hate, and death vibrate throughout the animal as it is being murdered. Who would want to acquire and assimilate that?" End quote. But it doesn't have to be this way. Many of us have realized that we don't want to support this atrocious industry. Many have gone vegetarian and vegan. Many are waking up and discovering for themselves all of the benefits that this lifestyle brings with it. The vegan diet helps us to have a more peaceful mind and a more peaceful nature. It's no wonder that Albert Einstein said, quote, "It is my view that the vegetarian manner of living, by its purely physical effect on the human temperament, would most beneficially influence the lot of mankind." Animal agriculture pollutes our lands and oceans. We now have dead zones in the ocean as large as countries where there is low oxygen and almost no life within the water. The way that we farm fish affects the health and well-being of wild fish. We are tearing down forests to clear land for more animal agriculture, and the animals who once lived in those forests lose their homes and or lose their lives, especially in the Amazon rainforest. Quote, "Animal agriculture is responsible for up to 91% of Amazon destruction." End quote. It is for the reasons cited above that the late Rajendra Pachauri, former chairman of the Intergovernmental Panel for Climate Change, stated, quote, "Don't eat meat, ride a bike, and be a frugal shopper. That's how you can help break global warming." End quote. There is widespread awareness of the environmental catastrophes that we face, from declining bee populations to severe natural disasters including droughts and floods. The Transforming Our World in Harmony with Nature report outlines, quote, "The crises associated with climate change, global warming, and dwindling fish stocks, desertification, deforestation, acidification of the oceans, and lack of clean drinking water have developed because we did not accurately read the signs nature was giving us in time. As a consequence, our actions and inaction are threatening human survival." End quote. One of the chief authors of this report is Dr. Maya Kincaid, an animal communicator. Dr. Kincaid has written, quote, "From the very first conversations in the early days of my work, I noticed that animals, plants, insects, and the earth are keenly aware of the well-being of our species, and, at least in their conversation with me, this seems to be their favorite topic of choice." End quote. This is understandable. Many animal communicators are receiving words of distress from wild animals, and animals such as birds, horses, and primates who know what their fellow animal beings are enduring as their homes in nature are decimated. The devastation is obvious, and we can easily imagine what it would be like if we were in the situation of the animals who are directly dependent on nature for their food, water, and survival. Coco the gorilla signed a message for humanity regarding our treatment of the environment. She seems to have been speaking on behalf of all nature when she signed the following, quote, "I am gorilla. I am flowers, animals. I am nature. Man, Coco love. Earth, Coco love. But man, stupid. Stupid. Coco sorry. Coco cry. Time, hurry. Fix earth. Help earth. Hurry. Protect earth. Nature see you. Thank you." End quote. Our Chatham House report, Food System Impacts on Biodiversity Loss, 2021, has declared that our food system is the top driver of biodiversity loss. The report outlines that the top priority for action is global warming dietary patterns. These need to become very plant-heavy. That is, we need to drastically decrease the farming of and eating of animals. The Global Assessment Report on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services 2019 outlined that 1 million species are at risk of extinction. Animal agriculture was identified as the top cause of the deterioration. Livestock production was found to be the single largest driver of habitat loss, and, alarmingly, farmed animals now make up over 90% of the large land animals. The following animals have all been impacted by animal agriculture. Insect numbers have dropped by an estimated 3/4 in the last 25 years. The dwindling number of bees is of particular concern, as their survival is important in pollinating various fruits, melons, berries, vegetables, nuts, herbs, beans, and other crops. 1 in 5 reptiles are believed to be at risk of extinction. Farmland bird numbers have dropped by more than 50%. Exploitation via fishing, hunting, and capturing wild animals is also affecting species survival. This includes animals such as the Chinese pangolin, Sumatran rhinoceros, and western gorilla. These animals are illegally hunted. Jane Goodall, UN Messenger of Peace, has stated, quote, "The intensive farming of billions of animals globally seriously damages the environment, causing loss of biodiversity and producing massive greenhouse gas emissions that accelerate global warming. The inhumane, crowded conditions not only cause intense suffering to sentient beings, but enable the transfer of pathogens from animal to human, risking new zoonotic diseases. On ethical grounds, it should be phased out as soon as possible." End quote. Remember, we are all connected. Animals mirror us, and they are showing us that through their threatened survival, we are also endangering ourselves due to animal agriculture. As animal communicator Tricia McCarr has explained, quote, "Now, with extinction, if you have a table and you remove one of the legs, what happens? It's going to fall over. Well, that's what's happening as we're taking out certain species. We're removing species from the planet. The animals have explained to me that it's like taking keys out, vital keys, and will eventually affect us.